Hello everyone, I would like to welcome you all to the platform of Ecoholics. Now the topic which we have today in this very brief but impactful session is about poverty, and I'm sure that everyone is aware of this very term, poverty. We call it Garibi. But let me tell you one thing, that poverty is a very multi-dimensional term. When I talk about the poverty is a concept in itself which we need to understand. Only then we can certainly alleviate the poverty. Only then we can certainly understand all the dimensions which are associated, and we can have a better understanding at this particular aspect, which is very much important, especially in the country like India, where still we have a lot of people which are suffering from this vicious cycle of poverty. Why do I call it a vicious cycle? Because once a particular individual is into the poverty, into that cycle of the poverty, then it's very difficult to come out of that, because that particular individual finds it very difficult to attain better education, to have good quality of healthcare and other aspects as well. So that's why we call it a vicious cycle, because once somebody is entering this cycle of the poverty, it's certainly very difficult for that particular person or a particular community to escape that. Anyways, now we come to the very point that what exactly is the reason we are having this very session at Ecoholics. I would not just be talking about poverty. My main idea is to talk about the concept of multidimensional poverty and how do we see that particular aspect at global level. And then we'll also see that how in India that multidimensional poverty index is certainly different than what is followed at the global scale. What all are the indicators which we have extra, which we don't see at the global level? We'll also be talking about that. So it's going to be a very interesting session. And from the examination point of view, especially GS paper 3 point of view, we will also be focusing on some important facts which are very accurate, and you certainly can use these facts in order to make your answer even more impactful. So let's start with the concept of poverty, then we'll move to the concept of multidimensional poverty, that how exactly is it a step beyond poverty. When I talk about the poverty, it is basically, very much synonymous with the deprivation. So when we talk about, at the economic level or the social level, there's deprivation. We say that a particular person is unable to meet certain basic living standards, a particular individual or a particular household, then we say that that particular individual or household is suffering from poverty. So you got to understand that it is a multi-dimensional issue. It's a multi-dimensional concept, as I've already told you in the introductory aspect, that at the economic level, at the health level, at the education level, even the living standards, you are not able to meet some very basic, very bare minimum standards, then you are somebody is certainly into this vicious cycle of poverty. You got to understand one thing, that when we talk about the poverty, it is basically affecting the well-being also of that particular household or particular individual. And you got to understand, it basically means that there are some low incomes which are being earned, and that is why there's inability to acquire basic goods and services which are necessary for survival with dignity. So survival with dignity is very much important, and that particular survival with dignity is not happening because of that inability to purchase something. So basically low incomes are certainly leading to poverty. That is certainly very much important. Now let me tell you one thing, that poverty is not just about the income, it is a step beyond. When we talk about the low level of attainments in terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of poor access of clean water, sanitation, physical security, all these things are also certainly a part of poverty. So I have just tried to make sure that that poverty is not a unidimensional concept, it's actually a multidimensional concept we have to focus upon. Now you got to understand this thing, when I talk about multidimensional poverty, जैसे तो per se poverty in itself is a multidimensional concept, as we already talked about, but let me tell you one thing, that when we talk about this multidimensional poverty, it is encompassing various deprivation experienced by poor people in their daily lives. For example, it can be poor health, it can be lack of education, it can be inadequate living standards, poor quality of work, or even the threat of violence. So all these things are certainly leading to this multidimensional poverty. Now, when I talk about this concept of multidimensional poverty, let me tell you one thing, that around 2010, we saw that a global multidimensional poverty index was established, was brought out. So remember, this is certainly very much important for you to understand, just to have a good deal of idea about the background of it, that the global multidimensional poverty index, it was developed back in 2010. So around 15 years back, we saw it was developed. Who was behind that? OPHI, that is Oxford Poverty and Human Development Initiative, very important. Certainly with UNDP, they have developed that. You have a small homework, that's very much easy. You have to tell me UNDP has its headquarters based where? Where are the headquarters of UNDP established? Located? You can certainly let me in the comment section. Anyways, so basically it was a joint initiative of OPHI and UNDP. Now you know that. And the best part is that on what basis were they calculating this multidimensional poverty index? Let's have a look. When we talk about this thing, three aspects they were basically focusing upon, and these were living standards, education, and health. And I think rightly so, you know, this is what we need to see in order to determine that a certain community or individual is in that vicious cycle of poverty or not. In the living standard, we are having various aspects like assets, housing, electricity, water, sanitation, and fuel. I'll certainly tell you much in detail that what exactly does that mean. Similarly, in education also we are focusing on the school attendance, year of schooling, and in health we are focusing on child mortality and nutrition. So certainly different aspects are there which tells you that what all are the indicators about. So these are the 10 indicators of the poverty as you can see over here. Got it? Now that is about the multidimensional poverty index seen at the global level. But let me tell you one thing. We observe that in India also we have got a national multidimensional poverty index. So in India, national multidimensional poverty index, which is brought out, which is released by our own Niti Aayog. So Niti Aayog, which is a very important body, it comes up with this national multidimensional poverty index. So we all know that this particular index is important for us. Why? Because it talks about the poverty in India, and I'll be telling you very important facts associated with this. Now, before I talk about this, idea, we have to basically know that how do we arrive to a MPI value, that is multidimensional poverty index value. How do we arrive at that? For that, you just need to know two things. Very easy factors these are. One factor is head count and another factor is intensity of poverty. Now, what is head count? It basically means proportion of multidimensionally poor people in the population. So, how many people are multidimensionally poor in the population is basically the head count ratio. Simple. And when I talk about the intensity of poverty denoted by A, it is average proportion of deprivation which is experienced by multidimensionally poor individual. It basically means that how far they are or how deep they are in the poverty. If this is certainly the poverty line, bare minimum, how deep they are into the poverty, that is defining the intensity of poverty. As simple as that. So MPI value can be arrived by multiplying head count ratio and intensity of poverty. So you got to understand this thing, that this will give you a multi-dimensionally, poverty index value, MPI value we are going to be getting from this. Now, what is more important is, I just talked about various indicators which we have at the global level. So India, when Niti Aayog basically came up with this multi-dimensional poverty index in India, that is national MPI, we did retain all those 10 original indicators, no doubt about that. But India did some innovation as well. India included maternal health and bank account as well, in line with the India's national priorities, in line with our own priorities at the national level. So you got to understand that when I talk about national multidimensional poverty index, of course, all the indicators are like that which we had at the global level. But here we are having in the health, we have maternal health also. And in the standard of living, we are having the bank account as well, which we have included, because our priority is to give the basic banking services to all the citizens which are there in the country. So remember this thing, that these two dimensions are there which are not at the global level, but we have at the national level. Now, I would like to tell you in detail that what exactly are we looking at when we talk about these particular indexes. In terms of health, in terms of education, in terms of standard of living, we have to have a bare minimum idea that what precisely do we mean. Clear? When we talk about the health aspect, basically, so just consider a household. A particular household will be considered as deprived if any child in the range of 0 to 5 years, or a woman in the range of 15 to 49, or even a man in the range of 15 to 54 years, for whom nutritional information is found to be undernutritioned. So just imagine, this is such an important thing that if in a particular household we are having someone whose information we have and is found to be undernutritioned, that particular house is certainly not going to score in the nutrition. So we are going to consider that as deprived, of course. Similarly, when we talk about the child and adolescent mortality, so it means what? A child or adolescent under 18 years of age has died in the family in the 5 years period preceding that particular survey. So if this has happened, here also the score is not going to be great. When we talk about the antenatal care, it means that when a lady is pregnant, is going to give birth, so household is deprived if any women in the house, basically who has given birth in the 5 years preceding that survey, has not received at least 4 antenatal care visits. So this is important. Every lady should go for at least 4 antenatal care visits for the most recent birth, or ultimately she may not have received assistance from a trained skilled medical personnel during the recent childbirth. We talk about the institutional delivery. So that is a very important aspect. So we are seeing a particular household will be called deprived if any of these things are seen in that particular household. If somebody is undernutrition, if there's a death in the previous 5 years of any child or adolescent in that particular household, or if a woman has not received adequate antenatal care, then also that particular household is going to be considered as deprived. I hope now you have got an idea that how do we consider that a particular household or individual is multidimensionally poor. Similarly, if we talk about the education also, we give priority to the years of schooling and school attendance. Now, you got to understand, when we talk about years of schooling, what is the criteria of deprivation? When we talk about, a particular household, not even one member of that household, age 10 years or older, has completed 6 years of schooling. So this is the criteria. If just imagine in a particular household, not a single person has 6 years of schooling, then they are considered as deprived. At the same time, in terms of school attendance, any school-aged child is not attending school up to the age at which he should be, completing the class 8, then that also is considered as deprived. So this is very important. Similarly, when I talk about various indicators of standard of living, I would like to start with this, our own innovation, that is bank account, because this is not in the global MPI index, this is our own innovation. If a particular household member, no household member in fact has a bank account or even a post office account, that household will be considered as deprived. Got it? In terms of cooking fuel, if a household cooks with cow dung, agriculture crops, different wood variety, charcoal, coal, so technically they're not using LPG, then that is also considered as deprived. In terms of sanitation, if a household is having very unimproved, shabby or no sanitation facility, or it is improved but shared with other household, then also we are seeing the indicator of deprivation. At the same time, drinking water, now that's very important. If a particular household don't have access to improved drinking water or a safe drinking water, is particularly at least 30 minutes walk from the home as a round trip, then also it is deprived. So they should have within 30 minutes walk from the home. When we consider the round trip for a lady, for a particular person, then only it will be considered as good. If it is not, then it is considered as deprived. If a household has no electricity, that is also the indication of deprivation. Now we talk about the housing. It's very interesting. A household which has inadequate housing, the floor is made up of very natural material, or the roof or the wall are very rudimentary, very temporary type they have made, kacha house type, that is a symbol of deprivation. If we talk about the assets, now that comes a very interesting part. A particular household does not own more than one of these assets: radio, TV, telephone, computer, animal cart, bicycle, motorbike, refrigerator. So if out of these things a household is not more than one, so it means if they have just one, then that is deprived. They need to have at least two. So just imagine if somebody has radio or TV, that is fine. If somebody has radio and telephone, that is fine. So at least two need to be there, and if they don't own a car or a truck as well, so that is when they are considered as deprived. So this is the symbol of assets. So in a way, when we calculate on this particular basis, what indications did we get? Yeah, what exactly did we learn? I would like to tell you this thing. In the past 9 years, I would like to tell you, and this is the data from PIB, it's 100% accurate, around 25 crore people, 24.8. So approximately, we can say that around 25 crore Indians have escaped or have moved out of multidimensional poverty. Now that is very much interesting. So you can see, around 18% points absolute reduction, that is 25 crore people are out of multidimensional poverty. Now this is very much important. So it is a significant decline if we compare with 2013, 2014, bete. So to 2022, 2023, we are seeing reduction of around 18 percentage points, which is a very important data. You can use in your answer, or it can be there in the exam as well. So you have to understand, there's a steep decline in the poverty headcount ratio during the past 9 years. Around 25 crore individuals have escaped the multidimensional poverty, which is a great thing in India. So that is a very important aspect we need to know about. If we talk from the state point of view, let me tell you one thing. The best placed state according to the Niti Aayog is Kerala. So remember, on the top of the chart, we have Kerala. It is best, of course, with just 0.55 of the total population, which is under the multidimensional poverty index, MPI. It is followed by Goa, then Tamil Nadu, then Sikkim, then Punjab, then Himachal Pradesh. So these are the top states which are doing well in this particular index, which we need to understand. All right. So we can certainly have a look that when we talk about the Kerala, only 0.55% are under the MPI. So this is 2019-2021 headcount ratio percentage. Similarly, when I talk about Bihar, so you can see around 33.7%, there are around 34% people under this MPI. So you can see the extreme. In Kerala only 0.55, in Bihar we have 33.76. So you don't need to remember these facts, but you need to have a basic idea that how different states are doing in this particular index. Clear? So here we have got some different states as well. You can certainly comment your state data in the comment section as well, that how your state is doing. So you just have to look at this, and you can compare it from 2005-06 as well. For example, even if we talk about Bihar, in 2005-06 MPI, it was around 80%, 78.2%. It came down to 51%. Now it is 33.76%. Similarly, Kerala, it was from 12% to 0.7% to 0.5%. So you can see the states are improving, no doubt about it. Every state has improved, but then there is a lot of room for improvement, as you can see over here. All right. Having said that, so states with the most multidimensionally poor, no doubt that it can be an important fact as well. We have got Bihar, Jharkhand, Meghalaya. So you can see here as well. For example, if I talk about Jharkhand, so, and similarly, you talk about Meghalaya. So Meghalaya is also not doing great in this particular respect. So just a basic idea I'm trying to give you, that top 3 states you should know, and the best states as well, which are doing well. We have to know about these as well, as I have mentioned over here. So, I would like to bring more such sessions for you guys. Thank you so much for watching it, and make sure you are subscribing to the channel in case you have not subscribed yet. The Ecoholics channel, you can subscribe it, and Do hit the like button if you have generally liked this session, if you have gained something out of the session. And you can comment and let me know what all topics you would like to watch on this very channel of Ecoholics. So that's me, Akash Randev, signing off. And I would like to see you, live also in various sessions which I'll be conducting on this platform. And I really hope that you do really well in your examination. All the very best. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat.